Okay guys, this is how you're going to start a draft. It's going to ask you to enter, you press in. Oh wow, it looks like I'm first pick. Okay, so it's going to give us like 5 minutes to look at everything. And so let's talk about basic strategies. Over here, let's just talk about layout. So the picks are going to go opposite, like a snake pattern. So it's like 1 to 10, and then it would be like the 10th pick down to the first pick back to 20. Okay, and it's going to show everybody who's going over here on the left side. Then in the center is going to be your whole players, all of them ranked in order. If you have the all button for everybody ranked in order for how many points they expect to be getting this season. And then you can do it by position. So there's a QB, there's a running back, wide receiver, tight end, wide receiver and running back put together, kicker, and defense. Okay. And then over here, there's going to be a draft history, so you can see how the draft's going, see players that's just been chosen. And then you have your team, and you're going to have every week you have a starting lineup: a QB, 2 running backs, a wide receiver 2, a tight end, and then a flex, which could be a wide receiver or running back. Then you're going to have your defense and kicker, and then the rest of your players are going to be on the bench. Okay, and then there's like a chat box where you smack talk people. Okay, since I'm first pick, okay, let's talk about the first couple rounds of picking. You want to choose running backs or wide receivers, unless you're going for elite quarterbacks like Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. Those guys are the elite quarterbacks. You can see here that Peyton Manning's the number 1 ranked quarterback because he did so well last year in fantasy. Since I'm first pick, I'm gonna probably go for a running back because running backs are limited. There's not many running backs around the league that are your every down running back. Okay, you want somebody who's going to play the most. This is the biggest thing about fantasy is you want your players on the field as most possible. If you have, like, say, Darren Sproles, who's a great running back, but he's more of a third down back who gets third down chances, he's going to be good, but he's not going to be as great as LaShawn McCoy, who's your every down back. Okay. Lots of backs in the league split reps. Like the Chargers have Donald. They have Whitehead. What's his name? Ryan Matthews, Donald, and Woodhead. No. Okay. So I've got a minute and 22 seconds. You'll have 5 minutes in the beginning of each draft. Remember, our draft is going to be Sunday the 31st, which is today. I'm doing this in the morning at 6:30 p.m. And I hope everybody's in. Auto picks are stupid because it's not a team that you're making. You got to be proud of the team you're making, and that's the most. So I have a minute to choose who I want to take first. I'm probably gonna go either Adrian Peterson or LaShawn. I'm gonna go Adrian Peterson because he's not gonna be sharing reps with anybody who I think is a threat. LaShawn McCoy has Darren Sproles on his back, and Sproles might take away some third down options. Other helpful tips: do not draft a kicker until the last round unless you feel like you're bored and you want to draft a kicker early. Go ahead, do it. Defenses: there's only a limited amount of defenses that are probably worth taking early. Okay, here we go. Player. And as you can see, he went over here. He's on my running back list, and it's now on to Samus2, who got auto-picked. Auto-picks are everybody with these random arrows. And then you got regular players with the helmets. That shows you that there's people actually there. Okay, so I got a number 1 running back with my first pick, and then I have to wait all the way till round to pick 10, so pick 20. And that means my choices for my second running back, or maybe an elite wide receiver, like Calvin Johnson, Des Bryant, or Demaryius Thomas would be good. In this league, because I'm just gonna mess around with it, I'm gonna go for an elite quarterback. So if there's Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers, I'm gonna take that person. Or I just feel like doing something different. And you have a minute 30 each pick. It'd be good to kind of know who you are, so this doesn't take forever. Okay. Santiago might be in Chicago. Picks hard. There that guy goes. The first quarterback right off the list, Peyton Manning. Okay, then we got another running back, and there is a thing like where if people all start going for elite quarterbacks, you might want to get a quarterback earlier than normal. It's when people are rushing for certain positions. So like if all of a sudden all the tight ends start going off, Gronkowski, Jimmy Graham, Antonio Gates, any of those more prestigious tight ends go off the board, you're going to want to grab a tight end quick because you don't want to be left with some tight end who's playing for a bad quarterback and he has no experience of doing well in the NFL. So this draft will be a little bit faster because there's going to be a lot of auto pickers. But the bad thing about auto pickers is that there's really no strategy to it. An auto pick is going to pick the best player available no matter what. It's going to go probably running back, wide receiver, and then QB or running back, wide receiver. It's going to choose a kicker and a defense really early because it's going to pick what you need first and then it's going to add people to you. Usually you end up with 2 QBs, 4 wide receivers, 4 running backs, maybe 2 tight ends, 2 defenses. It's your choice. You can back up on defenses, you can back up on kickers or tight ends. It's always smart to be well-rounded. It's not good to be like, hey, I've got 4 starting running backs, but I can only put 3 on my starting lineup, so what's the point? You want to have a well-rounded team. Okay, so we're almost back. 12, okay. So it looks like we've got a lot of auto picks. You have to remember also, some people are going to pick like their favorite players, or they're going to pick people based on their fantasy predictions. Lots of that stuff is highly inaccurate. Last year, Doug Martin, who just went off number 12, he got injured like in week 8, and that's gone. That's your pick gone. You don't get a redo. You got to pick somebody up on waiver wire. That's not something you want to do. I'll probably just make this video pretty short because you're going to understand it. You're not going to want to watch this whole. Looks like Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers might go off. And then I think the receivers. So when you're looking at different positions, running backs, you want to make sure that they're an all down, every down back. That's their biggest thing. Wide receivers, you got to make sure that their offense has a good quarterback. I mean, Sammy Watkins is a rookie receiver coming in, but he's got no quarterback throwing to. So he's not going to be very effective. Unless it does pick up, you might be able to pick him off waiver wires. Rookies are not a good choice to take early because you don't know if they're going to perform well. Quarterbacks, same thing. You got to make sure they got wide receivers to throw to. Drew Brees is a good example of somebody who has whatever receiver and he can make it work. But like last season, Tom Brady didn't have many good receivers. Gronkowski went down. He lost Wes Welker. That was like seasons ago, and he only had probably Edelman and his rookie receivers, and that made it really tough on him. And he did go down. And also, you got to look at injuries. Like Aaron Rodgers went out last year for 9 weeks. And then got to think of other players who got injured. Okay, so it looks like I got Aaron Rodgers still on the list. I am going to choose him because I'm just going to mess around with this team. So I'm going to go ahead and take Aaron Rodgers. Even though, you know what? I'm not going to take Aaron Rodgers because I'm a Seahawks fan and they play the Seahawks the first week. So what I'm going to do is probably find myself another running back because there's going to be more wide receivers. Alfred Morris is a solid pick.
Now on the clock.
Oh, look, I have another pick. That's the point of being the first pick. You get first pick, and then you get 20 and 21st, and then you get 40 and 41st. So you're going to be waiting a long time between picks, but you're going to get the 2 back-to-back picks, which means if you got 2 guys on your list that are ready to go, you can grab them. So I already have my 2 starting running backs. I'm going to probably try to get an elite wide receiver between Julio Jones, who was injured a lot last season, Antonio Brown, who's the #1 receiver in Pittsburgh, who did really well last season, and probably Andre Johnson would have been a good pick, but he doesn't have a strong quarterback throw. So you know what? I'm going to go with Julio Jones because I think that he's going to want to have a bounce-back season. And then after this, I'm going to have to wait a long time to get my next 2 picks. So I'm not even going to really be looking at running backs unless I got a steal running back still out there, which would be like a starting running back who still hasn't been chosen until round 40. Or I mean, not round 40, pick 40. Like you can see, Andre Ellington's a starting running back, Zach Stacy's a running back, but those guys might be picked by then. Then you got Rashad Jennings, Ryan Matthews, Reggie Bush. He splits reps. Rashad Jennings is looking to be his own running back season. Up here next to their ADP is average draft pick. You can see like, oh, what pick am I at?
On the clock. On the clock.
Hmm.
It's now on the clock. It's now on the clock.